Welcome to our careers conversation. This is the fourth one in our series where today we have the luxury of meeting with Sergio, and he's going to bring us through his journey from arriving in Ireland and from his home country in Brazil, and some of his challenges and opportunities, as we do with everyone else that has, given us the opportunity to speak to them for those 10 or 15 minutes. So, Sergio, welcome to IBAT's Career Conversations. Great to have you on board.
Thank you for having me, Az. So yeah, I mean, my journey in Ireland started in 2015. So I moved to Ireland. I think the main goal was to learn English. There was no much of a kind of like intention of going to tech or kind of like have work in different sectors. I had college degree, almost about to finish a college degree at the time. So I still need some time to study and think of more what I wanted to do. So the main goal was to learn English for sure. But then things was coming up step by step. I was learning different things in Ireland, the way that the things were working here, like culturally, totally different. I'm from Brazil, and there's like a different, of course, there's some connection, but there's culture, language, the way that things work in companies here is totally different that would be in Brazil. So everything was new. So I think those challenges are kind of like at the beginning, trying to fit in and then make sure you have the right qualifications for roles and those things. So I started as probably most of the foreigner students. We go to cleaning companies or that doesn't need much of an English at the time because I didn't have any. So we start from there, putting myself up to situations that I would be up to talking to people, have different engagements with different departments. Even though I was doing the cleaning, it was a daily situation, so I could be a chat with someone from marketing. I had a chat with someone from workplace. I had a chat with someone from HR. So that was that learning a little bit of what would be like to get into the proper work force in Ireland. And again, it was challenging for language wise, but I think it gives you the opportunity to be out there and then try new things. And that's how I entered in tech. So from cleaning, and then they offered me a role. But again, before I apply, self-doubt was there. There's always this kind of thing. Do I speak enough? My English is good enough for them? Is that, do I know how to portray myself within the tech company, which is different? I had some experience with banking as well in Ireland, which was something totally different that I learned. That's like tech, banking, the totally different sectors, the totally different way of process things and work. And then I think with the being open and then being out there with terms of like getting networking and connections, I decided to apply for a role with ThinkTech, which was the company that I was back then was Zendesk. I was cleaning. And then I was about to like, listen, I don't think I'm ready. I didn't know that I was ready, but I will apply anyway, because this is like, if you're gonna wait for the time for you to be ready, the time never comes. It's always something that you feel like, oh, I might not be 100% here, but I think like the confidence trying to build up a little bit here and there. So I applied for the job and managed to start in tech company, which was in Zendesk. And then a few months in, kind of still feeling a bit out of the box because didn't know much what was going on, but learned on the job loads of things. I think one thing that made me feel a bit afraid of applying is the nomenclature that they use when you see a role, all of these like financial skills or like interpersonal skills, communication skills, all those like languages that they use in kind of like job offers. Honestly, it scared me. That's part that would be like what it is like on the day-to-day job, and then you don't know because you've never done it, and all the different situation. So with the I kind of lost the fear of those nomenclatures in terms of kind of like, they wanted me to be controlling the budget, but I know I can do this now, but like back then, so it's like, how do I control budget? Like, do I have enough knowledge to say this is cheaper, this is good, this is not good enough for us, this is so all of these like make me fear a little bit the role. But when you win the role, you notice that those nomenclatures is just a name, and then you can do the job itself is not really, it's like that big of a deal when you get to it, because you're learning. Lots of people are very good for teaching you a few things. They're open to communicate, to help you out, but you need to be out there. You need to put yourself, you're gonna make mistakes. You're gonna see that you need to improve in some skills here and there. Skills is really important, but I think the communication piece and the networking helps you a lot. And then within tech company, not sure in other sectors, but tech company, they have this kind of networking. One thing that I learned was doing the network was learning about the benefits within tech, and I managed to get my college paid from one company that I worked for, and then it's like all these things that you don't know that you have available for you. If you don't talk to people, they will know, like some shadowing in tech as well. Like that's something that was good to me. I shadow people with data analytics, people with HR. So nowadays I can those soft skills that I can transfer to one or the other, the role that I do. Nowadays I'm working with operations. Basically, it's heavily operation and employee experience, but all of the skills that I got that I apply today in the job that I have, it was all learned from like put myself out there, not scared of making mistakes, and then trying to communicate with people as best as I can, and then like improve. I ask a lot of questions to people. I think that's something that came up to me. It was a kind of like good strategy of like, if I don't know, just ask the questions. They are there to hear you, and go from there. Step by step, you learn and move on.
Yeah, Sergio, thank you for sharing your story to date, and lots of great milestones within that. And what I'm hearing back was what we talked to our international students about and international professionals is that you summed it up perfectly. You're never going to be ready, because if you overthink it, there's always going to be something there that is blocking you, right? And you were very vulnerable in mentioning your English skills initially, but that's the same for a lot of international students. And here at IBAT, what we try to communicate and get across is that's adaptability. That's a huge skill set. It's an extra language where you become bilingual, then potentially multilingual, and that will open up doors, right? I love the way you've talked about networking. It's something we talk a lot about here in IBAT, and is networking is key, right? Especially even in today's environment where the tech industry is quite challenging, and we're talking from the tech sphere, but other pharma, fintech, etc. So really happy that you've shared those kind of challenges, but also those opportunities, right? The doors open them for you. You worked for some great companies, and you're in a great company now. You found your feet from different departments that you wanted to work in. So I would love to ask you one question in relation to, if you were to kind of give any advice to our students or your younger self that was coming to Ireland from Brazil back then, what would you share with us?
I would say a bit more to not be afraid of like failing, making mistakes, because that's how we learn. Like you need to put yourself out there to understand, like not everybody that is out there, they were perfect. No, but the perfection is a myth. That is not such a thing. So you need to be kind of like evolve a little bit. And then I would say put yourself out there and have a lot of network, because I think not only network, but most of the jobs that I have nowadays that I kind of was put out there to have a chance of interviewing, it was network based. I would get friends saying like, they looks like you. I like, I've seen work. This is how, like, that's the company that you do. That's something that I can see you doing well. And then it's just like, okay, sure, we go for the interviews and we do it. But like networking, it's one, like the most things. And also make sure nothing's perfect. Just put yourself out there and then make sure you can do it. And like the self-doubt will be there, but you have to get it done. You know what I mean? Nobody's going to be guiding you all the time, so you need to have these steps done. Like it's not as easy as it seems. Nothing is easy, so it's just sure that you have like the consistency and kind of the energy to be out there and then be able to fail too and get it.
And that's a true reflection, right? For everybody's journey, from career, professional, personal, it's never going to be an easy road, right? There's going to be challenges along the way. But what I'm hearing very clearly is, and again, what we talk about a lot here in IBAT is take action, right? It's about taking the action and not just sitting back and hoping that things will develop. It's about us taking ownership of our own journey. So I want to say thank you for spending the last 10 minutes with us, sharing your story, Sergio. It will help so many international students who realistically are here in Ireland and are at times feeling quite overwhelmed with, education, with work, with visa requirements, etc. And just hearing other people's stories can give them that hope that, once they finish their studies and move into the employability space, that opportunities would present themselves. But as you said, they just don't happen, right? We need to take the action. And I think if you had one word to share with us, what would that be?
Oh, I would say consistency,
Yeah.
because I think that and even like understanding that your job career, it's not a linear line. It's not going. It's always going to be up. You're going to need to do lateral levels. You're going to come down for a step back to go 3 steps. So I think you have to be consistent on that thing. Like, that's not going to be a straight ahead. You need to be consistent in your things, and I say small changes or small habits quickly that changes in the big picture in the future. So consistency is the word to have.
And we leave it on that note because that is very motivating for our audience that are listening in. And what I'm hearing is consistency, networking, and taking action. And the fear will always be there, right? But just move forward with the fear because you will see the progress. So again,
I would say the
Sergio,
fear helps you.
yeah, 100%. So again, thank you so much for taking some time out of your day. And we will have this on our YouTube and our social channels, and we will add your LinkedIn profile to our social channels. So if people did want to connect with you, as you mentioned, in relation to networking, then that's a great opportunity. But once again, thank you for joining us on the Career Conversations here at IBAT, and have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, thank you so much. That was a pleasure, and feel free to let them connect with me. And then if I can be help in any kind of way, I'll definitely would.
Take care.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
You too. Bye bye.